from the messages he sent me, but it was just the fact that he'd sent them to other people as well. I thought,
and he had your number, of course, because
my address as well.
Yeah, of course. Right, okay. So there will be some people listening who'll say it was just a bit of a ham-fisted comp. Really, come on, get over it.
Yeah, a reporter said that to me actually, and I was like, how do you even have that attitude? I don't know. Yeah, people think it's a bit of harmless fun, but basically, I went to Just Eat on their online chat, and obviously, I guess you've seen the response that I.
Well, yeah, and what they said was, here's a £10 voucher.
Yeah, well, it was.
Didn't seem to take it entirely seriously. It was £5 at first, was it?
Yeah, it was £5, and then I said that's insulting, and then they said, oh, okay, we don't usually do this. We'll offer you £10, and I actually laughed out loud. I was like,
that really is not the point.
Seriously, no, especially when I said, there have been two other people that I know of that have been contacted by the same guy. So with that, someone said, oh, why didn't you put it on Twitter? You usually get more attention from businesses that way. So I did that, and then as a result of that, it went viral, I suppose.
And then loads of people got in touch saying they'd had similar approaches, not from Just Eat, but lots of other delivery companies, Uber.
Not just delivery companies, taxi drivers, a Vodafone employee using a customer's number and phoning them after they've been in the store. And one of the biggest ones I heard as well are people just who you deal with over the phone messaging girls afterwards saying, oh, do you know what, I really like the sound of your voice.
Wow, do you know, you highlighted a really interesting issue, Michelle, thank you very much. I must read you the statement from Just Eat. They couldn't provide a spokesman for today. They say, we are speaking to this customer offline, and if the customer decides it's a criminal matter and reports it to the police, we will assist them in any way. They say they were appalled at the way the initial complaint was handled, and they are working to ensure that it doesn't happen again.
First for news and the best live sport. This is BBC 5 Live.
It's 8 o'clock. Good morning. This is 5 Live Breakfast this morning with Rachel Burden and Claire McDonald.
And on the programme today, 1 in 10 nurses is leaving the NHS in England each year. Nurses, doctors, patients. Tell us what it's like out there. 85058.
The Bayer Tapestry is coming to the UK. Front page news this morning. What is it? What exactly is a tapestry? Do you need a loom? Do you use your hands? How did they do that? When and where will you be able to see it? All of these questions will be answered.
It's not a tapestry. That much we can tell you.
Okay.
Over the last few days, we have, of course, talked a lot about the collapse of Carillion and the impact on small businesses in particular. The Small Business Commissioner is going to join us in a few minutes to answer your questions. The text is 85058. Twitter is at BBC5 Live. What is the latest on Carillion then, Sean?
Well, we've already heard this morning one cleaning company tell us they've withdrawn their services to the prison, but Carillion left with just £29 million in the bank over the weekend.
And history made in English football last night. Chris latched them all down to technology.
Yeah, a VAR goal, and it didn't kill the football star, although it did polarise opinion. Leicester, unsurprisingly, they liked it. Fleetwood,
they won. On the road, some terrible travel conditions this morning because of snow, in particular across Scotland. Many of the motorways affected and parts of northern England. The M62 around junction 22 and the Snake and Woodhead Pass, both closed.
This is BBC 5 Live.
Talking about the state of nursing in this country this morning, 3,000 more nurses left the health service in England last year than joined, according to the NHS. Now, it's the first time in 5 years there's been a net reduction. Janet Davis is from the Royal College of Nursing.
Nurses are telling us that they don't feel they can do the job as they know they should be doing it. The pressure that they're facing, the lack of staff, the busyness of it means that they feel they're leaving things undone at the end of their shift. They're very upset, they're working long hours, and they love being a nurse, but when they can't do it properly, they feel it's better to walk away than do a bad job.
Well, the government says more nurses are working in the NHS now than in 2010.
And a mountain rescue team was called out last night to check on drivers stuck in the snow on the M74 in Lanarkshire. Weather warnings for snow and ice are in place, especially in the north of the UK.
Documents show Carillion had just £29 million in cash when it went bust, but it owed £1.3 billion to banks. Unions are going to meet the business secretary, Greg Clark, again a bit later to try to sort out protection for services, jobs and pensions.
And the Victims Commissioner says at least 250 children and vulnerable witnesses can't get proper justice in England and Wales every year. She's Lady Newlove and says there are too few specially trained intermediaries to help them give evidence in court.
Former prostitutes are taking High Court action against the Home Office. They say it's unlawful for details of their convictions to be kept and potentially revealed to future employers.
And the Bayeux Tapestry could be displayed in Britain. It's going to come to the UK apparently. President Emmanuel Macron has agreed to it, a sign that the Entente Cordiale is still alive and well between the UK and France. It's going to be the first time it's left France since it was actually made in the 11th century.
Or it's a poke in the eye by the French, reminding us of their previous conquests.
Nice punnery.
Chris Latcham,
arrow in the eye.
king of the punnery, is here this morning to tell us about criticism and praise, actually, in equal measure after the first sort of officially awarded VAR goal in English football.
Yeah, Leicester's Claude Puel was very happy with it. He would be, because his side won. They advanced in the FA Cup. But the Fleetwood boss Uwe Rosler says the beautiful game doesn't need video assistance. We are also live at the Australian Open this morning, guys. Rafa Nadal serving for the match against Leonardo Mayer, and Kyle Edmund is already through.
Thank you very much, Chris. It's 8 Wednesday morning. We're still talking about Carillion today because it's been revealed that Carillion had been in talks with the government since last October to try to save it from collapse. So we knew the warning signs were out there. We didn't perhaps know the extent to which Carillion were actually talking to the government about some of their vulnerabilities. Carillion bosses are saying the banks had become too demanding, a rescue plan failed, but now we know there was just £29 million in cash by the time it went bust on Monday. Sean Farrington is here from 5 Live Money. So let's just get up to date with where we are on Carillion this morning. Criticism for the banks. What have they said?
Yeah, well, criticism from the banks from the chief executive at Carillion, Keith Cochrane, who in his evidence to the liquidation process highlighted that they didn't have anybody in the bank basically when it came to it over the weekend, and that they thought at Carillion, and the board of directors at Carillion thought a rescue deal could be possible, but that the banks were being too demanding. Now, when we spoke to the banks yesterday, RBS told us last night they were one of the banks, a good handful or so banks that owed £900 million between them by Carillion. They said, we showed forbearance to Carillion for many, many months. We effectively gave them some grace on their debts, allowed them to extend certain terms around it, and that eventually ran out. We couldn't have gone on any longer. That's what it seems a lot of the banks did, which is why Carillion went into liquidation on Monday morning.
Thank you, Sean, but the problem is the small businesses are, of course, stuck in the middle of all of this. So that's why we wanted to talk to Paul Uppall now, who is the government-appointed Small Business Commissioner. Good morning to you, Mr. Uppall.
Good morning, Rachel.
Also, we should say, former Conservative MP from Wolverhampton, where Carillion was based, and your role, I guess, about trying to ensure fair payment practices for small businesses, among other things. Would that be right?
That's right. Small payment, late payment for small businesses can sometimes come across as quite an anodyne subject. People doesn't always get the juices flowing. But I think what I've seen in a lot of discussion over the last few days about the whole Carillion issue is that late payment can often cover up businesses that aren't so robust, and can also actually make good businesses that are pretty constructive actually go bust. So late payment is something that sometimes I think isn't always on the radar and the forefront. And if I could just sort of highlight this, which
if I can just point out, not anodyne here on 5 Live, we had a whole phone-in about it yesterday. For an hour we spoke about this very issue, and we had many passionate callers, particularly people running small businesses, working for small businesses, saying this is a major issue and it's a particular problem with the big guys like me.
Correct. And the number one issue often raised by small businesses is this, but for most of your listeners, what I'd say is a specific example, this would perhaps illustrate, at the end of the month when you're going to get paid through your PAYE scheme, if your employer said, look, just because you've worked the full month, I'm going to pay you 2 or 3% or 5% less than I normally would, just because you've actually done your side of the contract. How many people would feel comfortable with that? And this is a sort of business practice that goes on for small businesses on a regular sort of basis.
Well, let me bring in a couple of listener questions. First of all, David has been in touch with us. David, good morning.
Good morning.
Do you want to put your question directly to Mr.
Yes. try to amend the current Construction Act to make it far more robust so that main contractors are even obliged to comply with its provisions, i.e. they must pay within 35 days, which is obviously the main thing at the moment. At the moment, all the big main contractors, they write their own terms and conditions that circumvent what are very, very key provisions of the current construction. The current construction act is far too weak, and it needs to be made far more robust. Do you not think the government could do something like that?
Well, thank you for the question, David. I think it's a good point that you raise. The Construction Act and often the adjudication process, that's when it covers a lot of the construction industry. I know the department that the Small Business Commission are a partner organisation with, that's the Bays department, have done some consultation on maybe taking forward an idea of retention on payments in the construction industry. And that's, I know there's an ongoing consultation on that. But your specific point, particularly about bringing payment terms down to 35 days, I think is a very good one. I'm in the process of my duties at some point over this year, probably within the next 6 months, are going to write a report specifically on my conversations with small businesses. And this is a point that I hear, which has been done anecdotally, mentioned, particularly in the construction industry, time and time again.
This is a no-brainer, isn't it? And isn't it also decreed by European law as well that businesses should pay? So I don't understand, and maybe you can explain to me why or how, that any business has a get-out on this.
Well, what we have is we have a bit of a cultural problem here on this, Rachel. We've had a system where, yes, there has been some progress on there in terms of legislation and directives and regulations, but specifically in terms of my role, this was very much something that was pioneered in Australia. They had a small business commission there, and I've met with the Australian Small Business Commissioner. And it is fundamentally about trying to change the cultural aspect here in the first step.
Just uphold the law.
Well, uphold the law, but sometimes what we need for this to actually work is for small business as well to come forward and actually make sure they do go through those processes. Sometimes what we're finding, what happens is, because small businesses, and I've run a small business myself actually in construction, you're so busy focused on the work aspect of getting the job done, fulfilling the contract, that this kind of stuff often gets put on the side, and particularly because